in their rent versus buy cost. So this was an analysis done by a colleague of mine where we compared the cost of buying a 0 to 2 bedroom starter home to renting a 0 to 2 bedroom rental unit. And we actually found that Orlando was the sixth best metro in the country in terms of that gap being really small, where it's a little bit more expensive to buy a starter home than to rent one in Orlando. But obviously, the equity growth advantage there is we think worth the difference. It looks a little bit different as you look at Charlotte, Atlanta, Tampa, and Miami. Miami purchasing homes is pretty expensive, and renting remains a little bit more competitive. So it's not a one size fits all solution. We always say that there's no such thing as a national real estate market. It's just an amalgamation of a bunch of local ones. So understanding the differences between rent costs and buy costs in your area is really important to know whether, that advantage of equity growth is something you can afford to go without or to choose to opt into, depending on where you are. So on the next slide, what happens if we wait? Things can move against us is kind of the long and short of this here. We've seen consistent price growth, and there's no reason to suggest that will change in the long term looking forward. So if prices are going to continue to increase in the long term, I don't want to make any promises about a 1 year change or anything, but I think I can comfortably say in a 9 or 10 year scale, prices will go up. Mortgage rates, we know, are kind of subject to a lot of market volatility. And so on the next slide, I've just kind of charted this out. I took the median sale price for a new construction home and a monthly estimate of the mortgage rates for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, and just use those to calculate what your principal and interest payment would be if you bought the median new home every month going back to 2000. And that step change in 2021 and 2022 is really striking to me. It had really held steady for a long time at about $1,000 to $1,500 a month, and then in the span of 2 years, jumped up to $2,500 and stayed there. So this is what can happen if you wait sometimes, is that things can really move against you quickly. And so what the first part of that big jump in 2021 and 2022 was rising prices. When the market was really hot, mortgage rates were low, prices went up, and then prices stabled off, but mortgage rates went up, and we had the second half of the growth here. So there are a couple ways that things can move in the wrong direction, but we've been in a pretty steady state over the last 2 years or so, with mortgage rates and prices holding pretty steady. So if you want to get ahead of the next big step jump, this might be a good time to do it. But yeah, I just think this chart it's honestly kind of depressing. Like that's the American homeownership affordability crisis in one chart there, jumping from about $1,400 to $2,500 over the span of 2 years. Just the cost of new construction there. So I won't look at that any longer because it makes me sad, but we'll go to the next one. And here's some good news about buying new construction is that if you're really concerned about mortgage rates, what we've found is that new home buyers get about a 0.5 percentage point better mortgage rate than existing home buyers in 2024. And this hasn't really always been the case. That gap was really narrow. And even in 2020, it got inverted. But in the last couple of years, what we're seeing is a lot of builders offering mortgage rate buy downs, offering preferred financing. And I think John's going to talk about this a little bit with the Kolter advantage. But if mortgage rates are something that's concerning, which they should be, paying interest is no fun. Buying new construction has a clear advantage over buying a resale home. So all that to say, we talked a lot about what we've seen in the long term with strong price growth and equity growth in homes, and that's an advantage of buying over renting. And what we're seeing too are advantages of buying new construction over buying resale. So is now the right time to buy? If you can find a home that meets your needs and meets your budget, especially you might find that in new construction right now with inventory up and prices down, then it's the right time to buy. Waiting for mortgage rates to fall, waiting for prices to fall, could very easily move against you. So, like we say, it's not about timing the market. It's just about doing what's right for you and your family. Because not only is it an investment, it's a place to live, and a place to raise a family. So, thank you so much.